och välkommen till Heiðinn Hamramr. What are the runes? Runes are ancient pictograms. It is a simplified image designed to convey its message visually in a very simplistic manner. Some symbols by their nature have multiple meanings or can be interpreted in multiple ways. While many cultures have used pictograms, also called pictographs, as a means of writing, the term rune is largely just used to refer to the Germanic and Norse writing system. While runes fall under the blanket category of italic, being that their root comes from what is likely an ancient Roman alphabet, it is worth noting that these alphabets had not yet been standardized in any single place at the time. The alphabet that settled in each part of Europe may have had influence from other places, but their stylistic choices and addition or omission of specific symbols made each alphabet unique. Something else that makes it unique is that it was late to be adopted. The Norse, like other ancient enigmatic peoples, kept an oral tradition. This meant that rather than writing down and recording their thoughts and teaching people to read, they told each other their thoughts and would retell them as best as living memory could allow. In those times, memory was so important that it was stressed and used far more often than in modern times. The modern English alphabet is named for the first two characters of the alphabet in Greek, alpha and beta. The Norse and Germanic writing system is referred to as the Futhark, which is pronouncing the first 6 letters of their writing system as a single word. Odin is the deity credited with bringing the runes to mankind. He is said to have been given them in a ritual where he has impaled himself to the world tree Yggdrasil. The earliest recorded writings of Odin are dated to the year 400, but as we have said before, the Norse had a tradition of speaking and memorizing. It took them a long time to switch over to writing on paper, which was not something made regularly available in Scandinavia for a very long time. The oldest runestone currently known is from Denmark, and was only discovered very recently to the date of this video. It is up to 2,000 years old, making it potentially older than the supposed birth of Christ. This method of writing in runes did not get very popular until around the year 400, which is when the first mentions of Odin take place in rune form, and the date of the Kilverstone, which is a stone bearing the full 24-letter Elder Futhark alphabet. However, if we take into account the incident of runes 2,000 years prior, it is likely that Odin as a deity may be at least as old as that, though likely older given the nature of animistic deities to change form. Let us dive into the Futhark. There are several important distinctions when using the Futhark rune systems. There is more than one. The Elder Futhark is the most popular because it has a similar number of characters to modern English, making it a popular choice for beginning heathens to latch onto and learn. It has 24 characters compared to the English 26. It is also the one used most in modern runecasting, which is an esoteric practice of divination using the 24 runic symbols to impart meaning. While the Norse may have practiced forms of divination, it is unknown precisely how, as no written record exists from that time period. If it had been, it would have been destroyed or kept in a secret vault by the church, who wants a monopoly on spirit. However, English is based on a different alphabet, the Anglo-Saxon Futhorc, which has 30 runes, of which make specific vowel combinations that are substituted in English by simply combining letters to get the same sound. When someone writes in runes using Elder Futhark but does so in English, some people, myself included, refer to it as Runeglish, which is to say that they are using the wrong alphabet for the language, or simply wanted to seem Old Norse without doing the learning involved to figure out the other runes. This is forgivable if you are doing so intentionally, and know how to actually use runes correctly, but just want to have some fun. The following rune alphabets are used for the following languages. Elder Futhark is used for writing in Proto-Germanic. Anglo-Saxon Futhorc is used for writing Old English or English. Younger Futhark is for writing Old Norse. Younger Futhark was the shortened 16-rune alphabet used during the Viking Age. Writing at this time still had not caught on in a big way, so it was used as a means of carving cenotaphs, that is to say, memorial stones that do not cover an occupied grave. From around the 12th century onward, you see the runes shift again from the 16-letter Younger Futhark, Viking runes, into a medieval rune script. This change was largely made due to an influx of the Christian religion into Scandinavia. With it they brought a tradition of writing things down in ledgers, journals, manuscripts, and more. With the boom in written word, it was possible to codify spellings and use language in a lexical rather than a phonetic manner. Runes had always been a phonetic writing system. This meant that you did not use it to spell words the way they are written now, but you used to spell the word how it sounds. This meant they did not use double letters most of the time, and some runes had their own unique sound rather than the way English uses two letters to make a new sound. The medieval runes expanded the alphabet back out from the 16 rune set to a 27 rune set. They also expanded upon the runes by adding what are called stung runes. These are runes punctuated with a dot to denote a change in pronunciation. With this set, it is possible to write in Old Icelandic and fairly well in Old Norse as well. However, most will insist on using the runes of each language from its particular time period for authenticity. This means someone using Elder Futhark to write in Old Norse will still get a lot of raised eyebrows from seasoned academics. This, however, does not mean you should shy away from the challenge. It is good to use the runes to keep the old writing system thriving in new ways through usage. In the north of Dalarna, Sweden, some 3,000 people speak a dialect called Elfdalian or Öfdalian. Their writing system included runes in it up until the 20th century. Icelandic is today the only Norse culture today that maintains a rune within its alphabet. The Thorn letter is a rune still used there today. Since this video was only an introduction, we will introduce starting with the most well-known Elder Futhark. Each set of 8 is called an ætt, which is shortened from ættir, which means clan or family in Old Norse. The runes are written in each ætt as follows: Fehu, Uruz, Durisas, Ansus, Raido, Keinas, Gebo, Wunjo. That's ætt 1. Hagalas, Naltis, Isa, Yera, Aihwas, Perthro, Algis, Sowilo. That's ætt 2. Tiwas, Berkana, Ehwas, Lagus, Ingvas, Dagas, Othala. That's ætt 3. Each one of these corresponds to a phonetic sound you are already familiar with. They also each represent something very common in their time, but I will go over their individual interpretations in a later video, as that will take a very, very long time to dive into. If you want to remember them easily, in order, the band Heilung chants them in order repeatedly during one of their songs. It may also awaken your inner heathen and bring you to Hamramr, which is to change shape, though it can also refer to what is known as a berserkergang, which is an altered state of heightened mental intensity and power. Berserkergang is a combination word of berserk, meaning bear of shirt, or possibly a shirt made from a bear, depending on who you ask, and the word gong means to go bear shirt. I will also share in Icelandic, Íslensk, and English some of the sayings of Havamal, which are known as the sayings of Har, which is another name for Odin. Please forgive my pronunciation, I am not a native Icelandic speaker. Veit ek, at ek hekk, vindiga meiði á, nætar allar nýju geri undaðar, og gefn ódni, sjálfur sjálfum mér, á þeim meiði mangi veit, hvers af rótum renn. Við hleyfi mikk, sjáldu nei við hornigi, nysta ek niður, nam ek upprunnar, æpandi nam, fell ek aftur þaðan. Fimbuljóð nýju nam ek, af innumfrægja syni Bulthorns beslu föðar, och ek dryck av gott, ins dyra mjadar ausen odreri. Þá nam ek, frævask och fróðar vera, och vaxa och väl hafask, orð mér af orði, orðsleitaði, verk mér af verki, verksleitaði. Runar mont þú fína och ráðna stafi, mjög stóra stafi, mjög stína stafi, fáði, fimbulþúler och gerðu ginregin, och reist, hroftar, rögna. Odin med ausum en fyralfum dauen, dvalen och dvärgum fyrir, ausvider, jotnum fyrir, och reist självar summar. Veist du hve rista skall? Veist du hve rauda skall? Veist du hve faua skall? Veist du hve frista skall? Veist du hve bidja skall? Veist du hve blota skall? Veist du hve senda skall? Veist du hve soa skall? And now in English. I know that I hung on a windswept tree for all of 9 nights, spear-wounded and given to Odin, myself to my own self, on that tree that no one knows from what roots it springs. They did not console me with a loaf, nor with a horn. I searched down below. I brought up the runes, took them, crying out. I fell back from there. 9 mighty songs I acquired from a famed son of Bolthorn, father of Bestla, and I got a drink of the precious mead poured from Odrerir. Then I started to become fruitful and wise and grow and thrive. A word of mine from a word looked for a word. A deed of mine from a deed looked for a deed. You will find runes and decided staves, very large staves, very strong staves, which a mighty Thuler tinted, and the great gods made, and Hroptar of the Regen risted. Odin among the Aesir, and for the Alfar Dawen, Dvalen also for the dwarfs, Ausvider for the Jotnar. I risted some myself. Do you know how you must rist? Do you know how you must interpret? Do you know how you must tint? Do you know how you must test? Do you know how you must ask? Do you know how you must bloat? Do you know how you must send? Do you know how you must kill the offering? This poem is steeped in symbolism and mystery, but it is clear that the runes themselves are shown how they have been attained and how they were used in divination practices. How to grasp them, interpret them, paint them, test them, ask questions of them, use them to bless, which is bloat, which might be related to the word for blood, which seems to be to consecrate with blood. How to send could be to send messages, possibly to the gods. How you must kill the offering, which refers to how you prepare the sacrifice for the bloat so as to properly respect the gods. Tacitus, in his book Germania, offers some insight as to how the Germans may have originally practiced their rune readings. For divination and the casting of lots, they have the highest regard. Their procedure in casting lots is always the same. They cut off a branch of a nut-bearing tree and slice it into strips. These they mark with different signs and throw them completely at random onto a white cloth. Then the priest of the state, if the consultation is a public one, or the father of the family, if it is private, offers a prayer to the gods, and looking up to the sky picks up 3 strips, one at a time, and reads their meanings from the signs previously scored on them. If the lots forbid an enterprise, there is no deliberation that day on the matter in question. If they allow it, confirmation by taking of auspices is required. To take auspices is to give the gods an offering for their patronage in your endeavor. I will leave it at this for now. I can dive into rune interpretation at a later date. I will leave some rune resources below to help you get started. If you liked this segment by Heiðinn Hamramr, please leave a like or a comment. If you have a question, please subscribe and ask your question below, along with a message saying that you subbed. Ha det bra, och vi ses nästa gång.